die Mattea Pötzi, ich bin jetzt 20 Jahre alt und ursprünglich komme ich aus Villach in Kärnten und jetzt wohne ich in Innsbruck. Also einerseits mein Ziel so für die Bewerbe und ergebnismäßig wäre mal in ein Weltcup-Finale zu klettern. Ich glaube, das wäre richtig cool. Und am Fels muss ich sagen, irgendwann einmal eine 8C-Route wäre auch sicher mal ein Ziel.
Resistance is an 8C route around 1.5 hours from Innsbruck at the Schleierwasserfall. It is possible to climb here almost year-round, but unfortunately this route is often wet. The route starts with 2 moves on bad crimps, which for me personally is already the hardest sequence. Most people don't struggle with this part at all, but I couldn't reach from the good foothold down low, so I had to step really high instead. The main crux is the first 5 to 6 quick draws with one long hard shoulder move at the end. Afterwards the climbing is quite sustained, there isn't one really hard move, you just have to keep fighting all the way to the top. There are some rests, but none of them are good enough for me to recover completely. I've never really climbed outside a lot, especially not on a rope. In my youth, the only experience with lead climbing on rock I had was with my team, where we climbed on old school polished slabs. I found no joy in that and decided to stay indoors instead. I only really started climbing outside with my teammate Eva Hammelmüller during COVID, when there were no competitions, and here around Innsbruck I got to climb on some more overhanging 8As and I fell in love with rock climbing as well. I tried the route for the first time in autumn of 2023 and had a couple of sessions, but I often struggled with cold fingers. The crimping in the crux section down low just pressed all the blood out of my fingers until I had no feeling in them anymore. When the season was almost over, I decided to give it one last go before it got too cold. In that attempt, I climbed through the crux section for the first time and managed to shake out well before the next section. Unfortunately, I then slightly messed up my beater and couldn't find a crucial foothold. I fell with a new high point and I plan to come back next spring. However, the route was wet most of the time and I haven't tried it since.
And there is a young lady, Mattea Pötzi, her first ever finals.
At the 2023 World Cup in Villach, I had one of my best climbs ever in semis, and out of nowhere I made my first World Cup final. My previous best result was a 16th place, so I really didn't expect fulfilling my dream of becoming a World Cup finalist so soon. Of course I was over the moon when I found out I made it, but at the same time I was really scared of climbing in finals. I was scared of embarrassing myself and felt like an imposter amongst the other competitors like Janja, Jessie or Brooke. Falling at the jump relatively low was for sure a result of me being super nervous and showed me that I still have a lot to learn.
Well, gave it everything.
Yeah, I think she didn't catch it so properly.
Jane Kim and Mattea Pötzi in her first final, 17 plus. Early fall from her, but a PB. And she'll be pleased with that result. And there is Mattea Pötzi, who I know she would have loved to be in this situation, but I think she would be a little bit surprised to be here. It's incredible to see her.
1 year later, at the home World Cup in Innsbruck, I made my second World Cup final. I couldn't believe I managed to do so, at the most important World Cup of the year for me personally. Climbing in front of my friends and family was really special, and going into the final round I felt way more confident than in Villach 1 year earlier. Still, I fell victim to the jump once again, at least this time along with 3 other athletes. This comp really sparked my motivation to make another final, where I would finally be able to show what I'm really capable of.
Maybe just a line of friction, but there's a lot of no-techs in there.
It's hard to tell if this is a move that's intended to be done statically. There she kind of found some middle ground of releasing the toe as she hit the right hand. Maybe for I or another shorter climber it's going to look a bit different.
You can see the writing on her shoes there. A few athletes are doing that now. A nice little reminder, I think, when you look down and see it. I remember your teammate Molly had sort of "Go Molly Go" or something written on her shoe, or hand or arm or something. All right, well, she clips up high here, entering the end of the leopard section. Greens to come, and this green section just goes all the way right back to the center of the...
If she climbs well, she'll...
Oh, had to go for the big jump. I think she wanted the crowd before she did that jump.
Yeah.
But a fairly early fall, maybe just under halfway, perhaps. And I think it's not necessarily going to be enough tonight for a podium, but it was a good performance from Totzkova. Come next, Anastasia Sanders, Mattea Pötzi, great from her, and Yutong Zhang.
Now, I'd love to know how Mattea is feeling, because she does have a bit of a history with jumps in World Cups. You know, 2 out of her 3 World Cup finals so far have been, you know, lost to a jump. She came off one of the jumps in qualifications yesterday, which almost saw her lose her spot in semi-finals, but she had, I think, a 4th place on the other route, so she was able to just squeak through. This is, you know, an easier jump for sure, but you only get one go, so it's super easy to make those small mistakes. And more than anything, it, you know, very much could be this mental battle that she's going to have, knowing that it's a potential weakness of hers and that she's got one chance to get it right.
Yeah, and the same with Zhang, she's not too happy with it. Readjust, that won't have helped that mental battle. And that was a deep breath she just took.
Easy. I think she maybe made that jump look the easiest out of anybody so far.
Yeah, she hit, you know, there's all that thing with the dyno where you're meant to hit it at the highest point of the jump, and she absolutely did that perfectly.
Yeah, that was really, really good. Really cool. Nice to see her doing so well. She was initially more of a boulderer. She had a few bouldering World Cup semi-finals under her belt, and then, funny enough, decided that she just hated slabs and jumps, and she just wanted to pull hard moves, and so she decided to focus on lead, and, you know, look where she is now, like 3 World Cup finals in a row.
Hits the right hand.
Yeah, definitely starting to try hard.
Yeah, slight shake in those arms, so... Oh, just on that jib. The blocker got in the way and she falls on the left, comes down. Well, it's second at the moment, 42.
Well, that will be
plus.
that'll be a podium for her.
Yes, true, only Laura to go.
With 1 climb left, that'll be her first ever World Cup podium. I'm sure she'll be stoked to know that.
So that's the confirmation of our top 8. Mei Kataki leading the way with 49 plus, Laura Rogger at 45, and Mattea Pötzi, a medal for her with 42 plus. Rosa after that.
After winning my first World Cup medal in Briançon, I decided to take 2 weeks of vacation in Suisse with my boyfriend Miro. As I had already climbed a lot of the routes between 7C and 8B here the year before, I wanted to try something really hard. Le Cadre is located in the middle of the biography sector, and it used to be graded 8C. However, a couple of years ago one of the holes in the crux broke, we are not quite sure which one, and it became harder. It has since been repeated only a handful of times, most notably by Alexander Megos, Jorge Diaz-Rulo and Moritz Welt, who all graded it something between 8C plus and 9A. The main crux revolves around this small right-hand Sika crimp, which you have to lock off pretty deep and then go dynamically to a relatively good 3-finger pocket. I struggled to gain enough height, but I found this tiny index finger mono, which I used as an intermediate to make this move work. The first day I tried the crux a lot, and eventually managed to stick it once.
No!
Only to then get shut down at the red bind crux. A slabby section on quite bad 2-finger pockets, where I had to get a really high foot to reach the next hold.
No! Oh, fuck!
On my 3rd day of trying the route, I figured out the second crux and checked out the last section, which is around 10 meters of 7C. You get a good rest before, so you shouldn't really fall there anymore if you know the sequence. After having done all the single moves now, I was ready to try making links and giving sand goes. The first part until the first crux is around 15 meters of 8A 8A plus, which is not too hard once you know all the beta, but makes you a bit tired already. Luckily, you get a really good rest after that before the main boulder. had a really good attempt on my 4th day on the route, where I fell at the last crux. I checked out the top part again and found a slightly better way to grab one of those tiny pockets. After that go, I knew I could climb the route. I just needed to get through the lower crux again and keep it together all the way to the top. I fell in the first crux again that day and decided to take a rest day before trying again. When I came back, I warmed up on the lower part and did the crux once more. On my next attempt, I managed to stick the boulder and also climbed through the second part. I continued, shaking out wherever I could, to not get too pumped on the last slab. On my 14th go, on the 5th day of trying the route, I sent the Cadre, my first route of the grade 8C+.